On the Range podcast. On the Range.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Range podcast with Hogg Tactical and Kelley Defense. I am Mark Kelley, and joined as always with my co-host and friend, Rick Hogg. How's it going, buddy?
Man, Mark, it's going great. I just want to thank the viewers listening out there for giving us your most precious commodity, your time to tune in, guys. Greatly appreciate it. Hey, patrons, thank you guys, man. Had a great weekend with those guys. Don't forget, patrons, the show continues after, so added content for the patrons. If you guys are interested in becoming a part of the OTR crew, super easy. You can swing by warhog.com, kelleydefense.com. Easy links right there. Since you're there, you might as well sign up for the newsletter, or just swing by patreon.com/on the range podcast. Like-minded individuals looking to become 1% better every single day. 100+ training videos on there, bi-monthly Zoom calls with me and Mark. I mean, the list goes on. Just a super fantastic group of individuals. Yeah, and we couldn't do without them. So, guys, appreciate all your support. Yeah, buddy, that's what we got going on.
Yeah, man. Wherever you are, thank you for making us part of your day. Yeah, speaking of the crew members, we had our first OTR crew members range day. It was a big success. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. I know we have some other things we want to get to. But as always, today's episode is brought to you by the Firearms Training Notebook, 1% better every day, from Hogg Tactical and Kelley Defense. And I tell you what, it has become an integral piece of our training programs. We're pushing this out to all the LEOs and all the military folks that we touch in all these projects. I know you have the Project Officer Survival that you started up that we're doing a lot of stuff with. We've been doing this all around the country, and every time we have one of our training programs, we pushing your data into this book and generating a plan and tracking your progression. There's just no way, if you can't measure it, if you're not measuring it, you can't track it. It's just the way it is. And it's working out real well. And I tell you what, we got another piece we're going to talk about that's exciting, that we did it once before. We're going to do it again later this year. But yeah, man, let's get started talking about the range day for the crew members only. And that was kind of your brainchild, and one of the crew members had pushed it for a long time, Pistol Pete. Mm-hmm. And, he's getting shipped out to another location in the country, so he's not going to be as close, but it turned out really well. It was great. It was 2 weekends ago, or actually 3 weekends ago now, and it was a lot of fun, and it was in North Carolina, and just can't say enough about the caliber of people that are in this crew and how much fun we had, and how therapeutic it was in many ways to just be there having fun was the big piece of that.
Yeah. With that though, here's the thing. We had fun with those guys. We saw great improvement, obviously running the Firearms Training Notebook. But here's the thing. This mantra of being 1% better just isn't some pipe dream that we sit there and smoke and don't execute it. Dude, that day was huge for us, because what we found out that day, not only working with those guys, but somehow we started handing timers off, just to become more efficient, right? So versus either me or you feeding them the data, kind of slowing things up, dude, here's the club timer, from PAC. Go out there, pull your data, and go, right? And we had these guys turning and burning. So much to the extent, reached out to PAC, they hooked us up with some more timers, and dude, went down to Florida for the Project Officer Survival event. Dude, huge success, right? Now, I'm not going to lie. We made one critical error day one. And I wasn't clear enough to my law enforcement students down there. Hey, you've got to get your split times, right? So they were kind of doing their overall times, not getting the splits, right? So we had to do a little bit of math in there. But day two cleaned it up. But again, it's always improving. And that wouldn't have been possible without that crew range day. And really, it was those, just us trying to be more efficient, getting those guys through drills, handed off. And they're all eager to get data in the book. Hey, man, how am I doing? How am I progressing? Where can I improve? And really, they'll take that data back, start developing their, dry fire program, and continue to get that 1% better every single day. The notebook, Mark, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It continues to amaze me.
Yeah.
I did a Warhog Words of Wisdom the other day, and we talked about this before. So my hardcover one and then my spiral bound one, I've got two, and it's like, man, I hate wasting, for lack of better terms, a notebook. Well, I was sitting there in the gym the other day. There's my notebook sitting there. There's my gun belt. There's my timer. I'm doing my workout. I'm like, dude, what's my dry fire session? Hey, working draw from the holster, level 3 retention out of my Safariland holster, and boom, I'm like, all right, get a set done, pause, slap the belt on, work a third of my freaking dry fire training, bam, done.
Yep.
Set 2, done. Man, the third one, we got some physical duress going on, man. We got sweat in the eyes,
Yeah.
We're just not performing well, but
Right.
I'm like, dude, where was this 10 years ago? Right? I mean, I've had the gym, shortly after I retired, and figured, hey man, I was wasting time going to and from. But dude, just now I've got a notebook that's got my workout dry fire stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, man, I keep the spiral bound for that live fire because it is oh so nice just to fold that thing open when I'm out there at the live fire range, and I'm not trying to fight pages in the wind and all this other stuff. It's like, whoosh, there we go. So that's how, I'm using my 2 variants of the book, but I couldn't be happier with it. And again, it's always learning something from people that have it, different ways that they're using it, manipulating it. I've seen some guys, because again, we've got 6 boxes going across, man, they'll run an eval on those 6 boxes. It's like, hey man, good for you. So whatever you guys want to do, that's the beauty with this notebook, right? It's just a tool for you to use the best way you want to get that 1% better every single day. And again, the OTR crew range day, huge success. Learn something from it that's going, moving forward, we're going to continue to do. Because, dude, I was down in Florida. I got like 6 club timers on me, just hitting things out.
Yeah.
But,
well, and that's another thing though, too, is for us, I find us a lot of times talking not only about how can we give these tools about with the data in the book and extrapolating all that data and all those other things to help people make themselves better. We're trying to be the best instructors, the deliverers of information that we can as well. And that's always evolving too. So the 2 big pieces I think that you brought up is the efficiency. How can we be more efficient? And the big piece, someone would think, oh, well, you got people all over the place. No, what we do is we have a lot more data that we're leaving them with when they leave for that day.
Yeah.
I would say 5-fold the number of lines of data that they had that typically other students that came to our classes would have had. Just that little thing. And I think it was you and I think Pistol Pete had a timer say, hey, I got one. The next thing you're like, hey man, give it to that guy. And then you went and grabbed your bag full of tricks and brought out all your timers, the club timers, and started passing them out. So the efficiency of how we're doing this stuff is going to make it a whole lot easier for folks, students, those who are carrying a gun still every day for their profession. That time is precious, and it's a lot of times you don't have a lot of it. And the more efficient you can be at collecting good data and getting that training in, that's going to be a big help. Another piece of it, I think, and we hit this hard at the range day. For those of you who are just joining us, by the way, you're awesome. Second, what we're talking about is the firearms training notebook that Rick and I put out a few years ago now, and we use it. It's a big piece of our training. We collect as much data of what we're doing on the club timer, and we write it down, and then we try to delve into those tasks by breaking those tasks down in individual segments and measuring those times and figure out how we can make those more efficient. We're really beating that into these folks saying, hey man, don't leave any measurement on the table. Anything that can be measured, you need to try to write that down. Sometimes things just can't be, but other times there's things that we're not doing. And I'd like for you to comment on this as well, that they're leaving on the table. And I can think of a couple right now is, the draw from first shot,
Mhm.
the reaction time, people aren't measuring that first so they
Yeah.
can start working on that. Tell me what you think about really getting into the weeds on collecting and not leaving any data on the table.
Yeah. So it's, draw from the holster is a prime example, right? Everyone's always trying to get more efficient with their draw from the holster. But to me, it's you have to reverse engineer the draw from the holster. So if you just sit there from flash to bang and go, hey, I want to get whatever time, and then you go, well, you've got no matrices along the way to go, hey, where's my issue points, for lack of better terms? So if you break it down in the fact of, okay, hey, if I work my pistol presentation, hey, if I'm taking a second from that ready position to present my pistol out, dude, between my reaction time going down, depending what type of holster I got, you can easily half a second, 3/4 of a second, maybe a full second, right? To that overall time. Well, how can I make my presentation more efficient? How can I get it trimmed down? What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And that's the beauty with the notebook, right? That note section, man, that note section gets overlooked a lot. And I tell guys, write it down, write it down, write it down. But if you work on, okay, hey, I've got the presentation going on. Okay, cool. If I sit there and take my reaction again, it's hard to do for the dry fire. We can really use the timer and work the reaction when we're out on the range. But hey, what's the time it's taking me when that buzzer goes to go down, at least get that, pistol out of the holster? Now I got it. If I'm running, let's say I'm trying to do that in half a second, the timers are basically, it's like one continuous beep, right? But you can at least tell, hey, am I hitting the matrices? It'll give me a rough idea where am I at. Because when it comes to the timer, if you wait to the end of the P of the beep, dude, that's a half a second you already burnt. That's a half a second inefficient. So how can I work that efficiency? And then really that final phase is, hey, when you go out to the range, pistol's pointing that direction, fingers on the trigger, you're waiting. As soon as you hear that first B of the beep, boom, send it. Send it. What your number is going to be. Typically, we see our students, maybe mid 2s to 3/10 of a second. But once they start getting the ear tuned, man, they can get down to the teens. And that's what, you want to hear that first audible and bam, hands got to move quick. Right. But again, if you've got something like a level 3, an easy fumble can screw up releasing that retention device. So again, it all depends on what holster you got. It's no different. Hey, if you're doing concealed, hey, did I grab it in the wrong spot? Grab my clothing in the wrong spot, didn't clear, the garment enough, all kinds of stuff. But that's why we dry fire, to become more proficient. I'm not going to lie, sitting there the other day, doing a little work with my level 3, holster. I was like, hey man, so I slap a little skateboard tape here on the side, just a little more juice, right? Should I kind of miss my thumb placement? Hey, does it work? Oh, shocking. There you go. That's a sustain, right? So it's little things, right? How can we incrementally make ourselves better? And I think that's the whole key when it comes to firearms training. You've got to do something to get those incremental improvements from that dry fire. And then when you go out to the range, hey, we confirm marksmanship, making sure we can mitigate that recoil, and bam, off to the races we go. So,
yeah. And, there's another piece to that as well, is being super honest with yourself at the beginning. And there's a lot of instant ninjas out there, well, I've got a 1 second draw to first shot. Yeah, dude. What target are you using?
Yeah.
What target are you using? Are you actually seeing the optics? Are you actually seeing your sight picture?
Mm-hmm.
Those are important things when you're carrying a gun for a living. Those are big time. That's why we use the smaller targets. It's nearly impossible. I mean, you can, but it's nearly impossible consistently to hit those small targets that we're asking these folks to do when we're doing our evals, if you aren't aiming every single time. So is that a sub 1 second draw to first shot? I guess in my book, it's not. You're not
I just look at,
coming to a full presentation and hitting a 3-inch or even a 8-inch plate at 7 yards. It's not the same thing.
yeah. And again, your targets, I mean, think about it. You might have that situation.
Yeah.
Where you're in that parking lot. Mama's on the other side of the car. Somebody tries to grab her. Man, I want to make sure my round ain't clipping her.
Yep.
Right. And where do you do that? You build it all in the range. You build it all in your dry fire. If you want to sit there and be lackadaisical, hey, rip the round. I really have the sights. Did I not? Just paper. Okay, cool. What happens when it's real?
Yeah.
That to me, at the end of the day, seeing how my world has shifted slightly, that's my number one concern. Hey, I'm out with her. Something happens and I've got to make a surgical shot. Can I still do it? Yeah, absolutely. But you got to put the time in. You're not going to get your mysterious, wonder power, marksmanship skills.
No.
The moment you need them.
Nope.
Either you got it or you don't.
Yeah. And those, that's never going to, I'm never going to have to. Oh, really? Okay. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard anybody ever say. Oh, I'll never have to do that. Really?
Dude, this day and age, it's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yep.
Right? There are, dude, now they're saying we've got over 30 million savages here in this country that have illegally crossed. I think it's 1.7 unaccounted for. That's their estimate, right? Probably closer to 2+. You've got over 30,000 Chinese nationals, Chinese communist nationals, right? That we let in. Who knows how many more snuck across. There's bad people in this country, right? We're seeing Americans get swacked all the time from these illegals. Dude, don't mess with me. That's all I got to say, because it's going to be a bad day for you.
Yeah. I mean, are you willing to bet your loved one's life? That's what you got to ask yourself. Not you, your loved one, the little people that are depending on you to keep them safe. Are you willing to risk their life?
Nope.
That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing when you're playing games. And play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. But yeah. So anyway, that range day was a blast for all the crew members. We have a vlog coming out of that. So the crew members who couldn't make it or didn't make it will see what happened there, so that they can try to make it to the next one, because I think we will continue to do those. A lot of fun, and that's exclusive content that's for the crew members.
Yeah.
So you go to the websites, warhog.com, kelleydefense.com, and check out the crew. Tons of that content's just coming out. We got a bunch of stuff coming out tomorrow. The exclusive stuff for your next show, which is coming out for the public tomorrow, has been out for several days. So it's just things like that. And again, the community of like-minded individuals is unbelievable. So
yeah.
I know another thing, Rick, you wanted to talk about that I want to hear some too, is additionally, how did the last Project Officer Survival event down in Florida wrap up? How did that go? I know we talked about some of the training aspects, but overall, how did it go? And how was the vendors' response to that? So if there's vendors out there who'd be interested in coming to some of these events, how'd that work out as well? Dude, I know it's hot down there.
So here's the thing. It was a little crazy, right? So Thursday, we actually had some rain in the morning, and I got it. It was kind of refreshing, felt nice. And a lot of people going, "Oh man, Rick, you're running rain, red dots. Oh, that's a bad combo." Nope. Aim point acros and closed red dot sight, right? Not worried about it. Keith's got a great photo he stuck up, on Instagram. I might put it up, but it's just the way that the water's hitting that and just splashing. It's like, yeah, dude, I'm not worried about it. Let's go out there and train. But no, so that was a unique event because that was a 2-day,
right,
1-day red dot course. 24 law enforcement officers trained from, we had Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas. So we had a great showing from, the state, local, county level. So across the board, FHP was representing the house, man. Those guys, man, stellar job to FHP, man. Those guys were spot on. Actually, I had them, I think, on Thursday, And man, top dog pays to be a winner. Walked away with a Pack Pro timer, some D-lead wipes, soaps, bunch of good stuff. So hey, you know, at the course we try to reward those that perform, and sure enough, he did. So, but here's the thing: we were down in Holt, Florida, at the Element Training Complex. Beautiful complex down there. Things had changed. The military had changed their stuff, so they kind of stuck us out in the back 40. The ranges we used had asphalt out there, so we bit toasty. But the way it worked out was I was over on range 1. So when you pretty much first came into the little area down there, that's where I was at. Over on range 2, you had Marathon targets, you had Walther, Cobalt Kinetics, ICC ammo, kind of doing all their live fire stuff. We had Shooting Targets USA had some stuff over there. All the Grizzly targets were over on my range because we were using the Grizzly SNS. So that was the shoot, no shoot turning targets.
Yeah.
So that worked out nice. But yeah, we had those vendors over there for the live fire. Absolutely fantastic. You know, people were loving the marathon stuff. So good, you know, good for those guys there. Then right across, or if you want to say the range is here, kind of right behind it, they've got a shoot house out there. So Context Industry just put their modular shoot house just to show, hey, here's some capability. If you already have a house, want to add some more to it. Force on Force was there, you know, so again, guys could sit there and run through the house if they wanted to. So kind of had those two over there. And then they had a big covering, Safari Land set up over there, Proper, which I got to throw my kudos to Proper, right? So I'm gonna throw some kudos out to some people. So Proper, we've done events with them in the past, but
yeah, they've been great.
Yeah, super company, right? Once again, they outfitted the officers in apparel for that day, so that was cool. You know, hey man, get some free duds because cops love free stuff. We had Whiskey 7 was over there as well. Ricky Harris Design, who kind of does, I guess I'll use this finger, between the Duke stuff, you know, the logo there, he's done some stuff for you. So Ricky was out there as well. And then Sub Second was out there. So good batch of vendors out there. Got to do a big shout out, man. Paul over at Notch, delivered 24 hats for the students, man. So each student got a Notch, got a Warhog Notch hat. Paul, brother, you know, you don't know how much that means, man. That was like super impressive. You know, support those guys there. So they got swag bags in there as well. Obviously Notch hat, you know, Hoist. I forgot to mention Hoist. They ended up providing like 100+ drinks, you know, so obviously all the students got drinks there, plus some of the people at the vendor show. D-Lead stepped up to the plate, provided a bunch of D-Lead wipe and soap. So, you know, we threw some of those in their swag bags as well. Multitasker gave some different tools and some mag pods, you know, threw that stuff there in there as well. Bunch of raffle stuff, you know, being given away. But it was just a fantastic event. And really the whole premise behind these, because we couldn't do it, you know, it's supported by Walther, Aimpoint, and Safari Land, because obviously Walther's providing the pistols, the PDPs, whether it's the compact, full size, professional, Aimpoint, they're all Aimpoint acros on there, and then Safari Land running level 3 retention holsters on there. And then Proper, you know, kind of supporting these guys with uniforms. But the whole premise of this and the driving factor is to educate the law enforcement officer on the red dot pistol, specifically the red dot sight. There's a lot of, I don't want to say ignorance, just uneducated, I guess would be a better choice of words. And we've seen it from the courses we've done where guys just don't know what they're buying, or they're going off the gun shop's advice. And, you know, we had one agency, hey, they opted to buy, you know, some Hollow Sun optics made in China. So I'm not a super fan of communist things to save my life. I think before lunch, they already broke 2. And the culprit was why they bought a solar panel. I have no idea. Right. And that we'll get into kind of some of the widgets and gadgets here, but they had the solar panel version, and I think it was my man's wedding band. Ended up cracking the solar panel on one. I forget what happened with the other one, but long story short, before lunch, they're down 2 sites, and guys, it's like, well, did you do any T&E? They're not even testing or evaluating any optics. They're just buying some stuff. And really my whole premise is, before we kind of start the class, go into, hey man, what's an open emitter? What's an enclosed emitter? Don't fall for these gizmos. So like the solar panel, I'm like, you guys work nights, makes no sense, right? These shake awake gizmos, that's another fail point in there. Open emitter, fail point, right? So why are you buying a piece of life-saving equipment that has all these fail points built in versus running an 8-point acro, turn the dot on, adjust for brightness depending on what, your lighting conditions are for that shift you're running, or if you're the arm professional, hey man, if you're going out at night, tweak it down, whatever the case may be, right? But trying to get these guys to be smart on red dots so they're not wasting money, they're not buying garbage, because to me, it's a piece of life-saving equipment they're putting on these pistols. And then just trying to educate them on, hey man, what's the best way to use that red dot? Because a lot of times for the new red dot shooter, they're actually slower, for lack of better terms, because they're thinking that, hey, that sight housing and that red dot have to be aligned in the center. And dude, dots in the glass, on target, send it, right? And just trying to harp that over and over and over. So that was really the driving factor. And by the end of the day, man, those guys were on it. They were troopers. It was hot out there. Had to take some breaks, keep them hydrated, but they kept the work level up. And as a result, we got 24 better educated and better trained officers out there, serving their community. So we're going to continue to do these, keep them going. If your agency is interested, hey man, reach out, right? Shoot us a note. Say, look at the calendar, see if we can fit it in. I'm not going to lie. The rest of this year is looking pretty packed, right? So we got a couple little maybe spaces in there, but can make no guarantees for 2024. 2025, we're starting to get things on the calendar there. So the sooner you guys, reach out, do it. But guys, please don't do like I've heard some agencies. Hey, what's the cheapest red dot I can find on Amazon and buy it? I'm not going to lie. I'm not a fan of the Holosuns, right? Some guys will say, hey, never had an issue. I've just seen too many, right? The newest one I'm seeing is, for whatever reason, right at the optic plate, they're shearing off. We saw the solar panels crack. So now you've got this enclosed red dot that all of a sudden turns into a snow globe intermittent red dot, totally defeating what you're trying to do. So make sure you guys are getting out, doing a proper T&E on those optics. You owe it to your officers, right? Don't cheat them. And don't let it be some, oh, you can't see what the T&E we did, dude. And I've had some agencies say that, right? Oh, we don't share our T&E. Then you didn't do it, right? You're lying. Don't lie to your guys. Don't give them crap that you haven't tested. It's their life out there. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's just the lack of familiarity with it. I mean, they haven't handled them, and that's understandably, they're working all the time. They're not, quote unquote gun guys who read up on this stuff all the time. And you don't have to be. Nope. But if you're not sharing your T&E, one, like you said, you probably didn't do it. Number two, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you let other people know what you did and ask them to do the same, so that there's something that you may not be covering that they thought of that was a great idea? Why wouldn't you do that? I don't know.
Because they didn't. Because
we encounter a lot of that too, though, don't we, Rick?
Well, yeah, because they didn't do it, because they're lying, right? Here's the one thing I can't stand: don't lie to me, right? If you didn't do a T&E, just say I didn't do a T&E. Like we had, one agency, hey man, I went off the gun store. Okay. I'll give you that. Not the best choice, but don't, I can't stand these guys lying. Oh yeah. Did you test this? Oh yeah, we tested it. No, you didn't. You didn't test squat. Right.
Yeah.
You owe it to those officers, because typically, what I've seen is that somebody in the range staff is kind of, in charge of doing this T&E to find out, hey, what pistol were they going to choose? Hey, what optic? They might bring some other officers in. Hey man, try this. What do you think? Yada, yada. I don't know how many rounds they're using, what weather condition. I don't know what they're doing for a T&E. Right. But my gut tells me it's probably janky. And it's nothing against those guys, right? If you don't know, reach out. I'll tell you exactly what I do. But if you don't reach out, I can't help you. But man, do not lie to your guys.
Yeah. And if you have a voice in your departments or your military unit, if you have a voice, like a legit voice where you can give your opinion, start going out and getting some training, getting some information, seeing what people are doing. I think we've realized, pretty quickly in this process of kind of transitioning over to mostly law enforcement and military folks, that's who we need to be dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
All the guys that go to all the training, who's a super dude on a tactical team, or he goes out there and he does his diligence and that's great, but we need someone who's got a voice, someone that is seeing these folks come through their training section and pushing them out with it. That's who we need to talk to. That's who we need to see what they got going on in there to see if we can help.
Yeah.
If we can't, we can't. They don't have to listen to one thing we're saying. They don't.
Nope.
But they might.
Hey man, whatever your life can support, right?
Yep.
Hey man.
Isn't that so true though?
That's the way I look at it, right? The problem with the law enforcement firearms instructor community, you've got some big egos out there, dude.
Yeah.
Why are you out? Like I've seen guys out there in their competition race guns and race belts going, how in the world can you articulate 20 of your officers that's struggling to work that level 3 retention holster? And you're like, look at me. Well, great. You didn't teach them nothing. If anything, you just frustrated them more.
Mm-hmm.
Put the egos to the side. There doesn't need to be an ego. You're there to enhance these guys' life-saving skills. And if you're not doing that, shame on you. Right. And if Rick comes out to your range, don't ask me where my ballistic vest is, because I'm going to get shot by one of my students. Right. I'm teaching them. You should be in control. If that's why you're wearing one of those firearms instructor body armor vests, dude, you got bigger dramas. Right? You have bigger dramas. And don't tell me it's the lowest common denominator and all that stuff. Right? It's how you work with the students and you hold the standards. At the end of the day, hey man, some people aren't designed for that job. Sorry, nothing personal, right? It's merely business. Because think about it. Do you want that lowest common denominator being your backup, which they probably never will show up, but do you want them to potentially be your backup? I don't. I want the highest caliber dudes. Hey man, if I'm in a pinch, who's coming to my rescue? I want the cavalry coming, not the joke squad. So,
Yeah, man, a lot going on though. One other thing I know we wanted to hit before we moved on to the bonus content for the crew members. Some of the favorite part of the day is when we get to do some special stuff for the crew members and interact with those guys and girls. Is we are going to push out another round of the Spiral Bound notebook sale.
Mm-hmm.
We have to work with a different printer when it comes to the Spiral Bound. It is a definite upgrade. There's no doubt about it. The cost is minimal up from the Gen 1 or the Gen 2 with the page numbers in it. But it is a pretty good upgrade. It does make life a lot easier when you can lay that flat on the range or in your range bag. And it's, have to search for pages and stuff like that. It does make a big difference. The Gen 1s and the regular paperbacks are just as good if you're doing other things, but it is a nice feature. And we're going to do that sale starting in the 1st of July, all the way through the month of July. and then they will be shipped out all at once the first couple days of August. So we'll make sure that folks aren't missing that, because we've had, individuals show up who purchased the first pre-sale of the Spirebound notebook, and everybody's like, "Hey man, how'd you get that? Where'd you get that from?" Say, dude, you're not on the newsletter, obviously.
Yeah.
And you're not listening to the show.
Come on. I mean, how much did we push it out there?
Daily.
Yeah. So one quick alibi on the Project Officer Survival course. If you go to Safari Land in their blog section, there was actually an article written about it, so you guys can get a little more insight. But getting back to your point, Marcus, hey, how'd you miss it? I'll tell you guys straight up, right? So if you're looking for Rick to do anything on pushing stuff on social, you might see it on LinkedIn, right? The rest of the platforms, they're dead to me. They don't. Ever since we got debunked by Meta, we've seen everything just tank. So why waste the time? And we talk about trying to be as efficient with our time as we can. Why waste our time with it, right? Sign up for the newsletter. When the newsletter comes, open it, right? That's the only way you're going to tell what's in there. Go, oh yeah, Rick and Mark sent out another email. Great, dude, take a peek. Right?
Yeah.
So take a peek.
God love you guys, man. We love you guys. We do. But click the button. Click the button and see what's in there.
just take a peek, right? Scroll through, go, yep, nothing's in there. Cool. Then you can chuck it in your freaking trash, right? But you might be missing out. Right. So like in July, got some class in North Carolina, right?
Yep.
How you going to know about it? If you're on LinkedIn, you'll probably see it, because I'll probably do an event here, post sometime. But the newsletter, I mean,
the newsletter.
That's it. Go to the website. Yep, you'll see it there. But I think for both of us, we're taking more charge of the items we control, i.e. our websites, i.e. our newsletters, i.e. this show. The rest of it is all just manipulated big tech, and especially coming towards the election year, things are just going to start crumbling. So there's going to be more censorship. And I'm still in the can't promote to non-followers. Dude, I don't think I'm ever getting out of that jail, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I don't care anymore. I really don't.
No.
It's a tool. You know what? Not all tools work. So,
yeah.
So yeah, we'll focus on
just it's not helpful to us most of the time. It just isn't.
No.
The newsletters, the crew members, those of you who listen and watch these shows, those are the folks that we're concentrating on. Our LEOs, our military folks, especially on the crew membership side, military and law enforcement. You got a great price point. I mean, we got to keep the lights on, but it's almost nothing for all the content. You get the full access package. You can try it for free. There's some free stuff, but if you want all the training and you want the group video calls and all that stuff, man, you got to join the all access. That's the way to go. And military and law enforcement, you got to reduce price. It's a good deal. And you know what? Share the stuff. Share the stuff. Hit your notifications so you don't miss anything, like the sale on the Spirebound version of the Firearms Training Notebook. Yeah.
Hey man, when's that going on sale again?
Yeah. I don't know. It's up to the printer.
Oh man.
Yeah. But yeah, man, great show. Good job you did down there in Florida. I know we got some in the works up in this neck of the woods, and then North Carolina, and we'll probably have another range day for the crew members. So get on board on that. But yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of good stuff coming out, content coming out every day for the crew members. A lot of it exclusive. So
yeah, buddy.
All right, Rick, best time of the show. We get to go to the bonus edition. Those of you who are crew members, go to the crew page, stand by for your bonus content. The rest of you, you going to sign us off, Rick?
You know it, man. You guys train hard, stay safe, and we'll see you on the range.
On the Range Podcast.